to those reporters coordinating questions before the Romney presser?
I would just say, do you regret your question?
Your question? Your statement.
I mean, your statement, not even the tone, because then he can go off on.
And then if he does, I think we should follow up and say, but this morning your hands were continuing to send.
But I mean, I just want to make sure that we're just talking about no matter who he calls on, we're covered on the one question that.
Do you stand by your statement, or do you regret your statement?
No matter who he calls on, we're covered on the one question. It's like one of those trick deck of cards where every card is a red joker. This happens a lot, and it's their job to get something meaty. You can't blame them. But why didn't they just ask it once, not 7 times, and move on? Yep, while Mad Men strike, let's focus on Romney. I've seen deeper thought in a tweet by Lindsay Lohan. Speaking of tweets, by the way, that's where the media really piled on Romney. David Gregory, Ron Fournier, Mark Halperin, their online whines make sheep look edgy. Even worse, how the media thinks a dumb video is causing Muslim outrage. Sorry, the headline, Outrage in the Middle East, first showed up 1 million years ago on caveman CNN and will exist long after we're dead. And yet the press blames a video. Their equation, Western extremists cause Eastern extremists. The media cannot accept the fact that they hate us just the way we are. Sorry, Billy Joel. But what can you expect from an entity that embraced the sordid Occupy Wall Street over the Placid Tea Party? With impaired judgment like that, it's no wonder the world's barbarians play us like a fiddle while our embassies burn. If only Time Magazine would run a cover story like, why do they hate us? Maybe this would stop. Oh, sorry, that didn't work. What our media is yet to face up to is you can't negotiate with psychotics who see hatred everywhere and blame everybody but themselves. Oh, and you can't negotiate with Middle Eastern Islamists either. Dana, I know we had a meeting this morning, and you threw a scalding cup of coffee in my face over this because you disagree. You believe that this kind of coordination or discussion is standard.
Can I just give you an example?
Sure.
Look, and I am one to defend the media, at least certainly the ones that are covering candidates and the president, but sometimes they make it very hard to do so. Now, it's rare that a candidate or president these days gives an opportunity to ask questions.
Right.
If there is driving news of the day, instead of having somebody ask an off-the-wall question today, like maybe about the Senate race in Missouri, they all have marching orders from their bosses. They need to get the story of the day, which is the sugar, not the meat and potatoes, but what will keep them going. It's the carb diet. So it's not unusual for them to say, you got this question, I'm going to ask about North Korea, you got this, okay, great. That is working together, but then they look like a pack of lamos after that.
The only problem with that, and I get that, and you want to talk, there are a bunch of things going on, they colluded to ask one question. And then they asked it 7 times.
And not let him get away from it.
And again, and the same thing asked 7 times. So, I mean, really exposes what they are. They're the, I don't know, the East and West Coast wing of the Obama campaign, because Chicago's covered, so they had to cover both the East and West Coast. It's honestly, it's the ominous undercarriage of the media.
Now, that's the 3rd time you've used ominous undercarriage, and it's still not getting picked up as a trend.
Didn't you ban it already?
No, I haven't. Other people have to use it.
You know what we should do? Ban journalists like this, because it's not just them trying to, discuss. Let's pick our questions. They're actually colluding to ambush Mitt Romney because he's the conservative candidate, like they used to do with Bush. They would never do this with Obama. They try and make him look good and cover up when he says things that don't make sense or things that are difficult or problematic for us, like Egypt isn't our ally, and then they have to change it and walk it back, like Dana said.
I will say this, though, and Bob, I do think that, obviously Romney's there. That's why they're asking him that question, because this is what he said. But didn't it feel to you that it was a gotcha? They were working for a gotcha moment?
Well, I mean, I just assume they're going for gotcha moments. Yeah. Whenever you have a press conference, you just assume that they've talked about this stuff. This is nothing new. The other thing is, would anybody believe for a second the question would have been asked? It was the top of everybody's thoughts, because Romney and his aides particularly let him down on this one by coming out with a statement that was premature, and they let him down in a big way. Same way Obama's people let him down by letting him go to Las Vegas today.
I think in the long run, Romney will look like he was made a smart decision. Also, his instinct was to have a press conference. His instinct was to allow the press to ask him questions. That's not necessarily what happened.
And to be presidential, right, Dana?
Yeah,
and how about Obama?
Be presidential.
Let me tell you something.
It wasn't a scheduled press conference.
He's trying to get the job to be president of the United States and commander-in-chief.
You think that was a presidential statement?
At least he's acting like one, and at least he's willing to take questions and doesn't cower behind his inept staff and then try and back out the door and not answer one question when you have 17 Americans wounded, 4 Americans murdered, including our ambassador. That's
You don't start talking about it when you're sitting on a campaign trail and you don't know anything about it.
Well, then don't go to Vegas because you care more about winning than you do about what's best for the American people and protecting them.
At once, if you just give a little bit of discredit to Romney, would make it for a better day.
Not today.
Not any day.
Not today.
I just got to go, before we go, the tweets. I mean, for these tweets from these journalists, it's like they're 16-year-old girls complaining about a repeat of Gossip Girl. And they never do this with Obama, but with Mitt Romney, they all, in unison, like sheep, dropping these tweets.
I think that I think they should just get off Twitter.
Get off Twitter, yes.
Collusion.
We have to go now. They're yelling at me. Coming up.